hello and welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Morning Trade with me, Nandita Khemka, this Friday morning. Well, over the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about the cues for trade, all the stocks that will be making headlines in today's session, what are the earnings to watch out for today, and of course, the MSCI changes that have been announced as well. And if you have any stock-related queries, don't forget to send them in to us on our YouTube feed, and we'll have them addressed by our expert on the show. But before we do all that, let's take a look at the top stories at this hour. Wall Street ends mixed with the Nasdaq closing higher. Concerns over banking turmoil return to haunt investors as PacWest plunges 25% after it reported a drop in deposits last week. Meanwhile, the crucial debt ceiling meeting between US President Joe Biden and congressional leaders gets postponed to next week. European markets close marginally lower as the Bank of England raises rates for the 12th consecutive time to fight inflation. The bank delivers an expected 25 basis points rate hike. Meanwhile, Asian markets trade largely lower, with the SGX Nifty hinting at a negative start for the Indian market. Elon Musk says he will step down as Twitter CEO. The new CEO is set to assume the role in 6 weeks. The Wall Street Journal reports that Linda Yaccarino, NBC Universal's head of advertising, is in talks for the job. MSCI announces its index rebalancing with changes that could potentially lead to inflows of about $1.3 billion. A weight increase in Kotak Bank could result in inflows of over $800 million. Max Healthcare HAL get included in the index, while Adani Transmission and Adani Total are excluded. The changes will be effective from the 31st of May. Eicher Motor delivers an all-round beat in the fourth quarter and in key earnings to track today. Tata Motors and Cipla, HPCL and DLF will all be reporting their fourth quarter report card today. Well, let's first decode the AMFI data that came out yesterday. We are now joined by Abhinav Kaul, my colleague, who will be taking us through the numbers and telling us what led to the drop in the equity mutual funds this time around. Flows into equity mutual funds, I beg your pardon. Good morning, Abhinav. Good to have you on the show. Well, last month we saw flows hitting a one-year high, but this month equity MF inflows have fallen or slumped to a 4-month low. What led to this moderation, and do you think this trend will continue going forward?
Hello, Nandita. Good morning. So, AMFI data which came out yesterday showed that there was a steep fall in net inflows into open-ended equity mutual funds. In April, equity inflows came in at around 6,480 crore versus rupees 20,534 crore in March, which is a steep fall of around 70%. Another categories which drove higher equity inflows in March, such as ALSS, dividend yield, and sectoral and thematic funds, failed to see much interest during the month of April. Meanwhile, April equity flows have been lowest since November 2022, when the number stood at around 2,500 crore. So the 70% drop in month-on-month inflows can be attributed to investors taking some money off the table to take advantage of the recent rally. So while the Indian markets have remained flat since the start of the year, there was some uptick seen in stocks during April. Sensex had risen 3.35%, while Nifty had gained around 4% during the month. What could have led to lower inflows into equity funds was the reduced number of trading days during April. So January, February, March this year had each witnessed at least 20 trading days. However, there are only 17 trading days in April. So apart from regular holidays such as Saturdays and Sundays, there were reduced number of trading days on account of Mahavir Jayanti, Good Friday, and Baba Sahib Ambedkar Jayanti in April. Also, if you look at the historical data, there has been a trend of big slump in equity inflows during April, as focus shifts to debt categories during this period. The similar trend played out in 2022, 2021, and 2020. For example, in April 2021, equity inflows crashed 62%.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Abhinav, which category has seen the highest inflows this time around if you talk about the mid-cap, small-cap and large-cap equity schemes?
Right. So, Nandita, if we look at the large-cap funds, inflows slumped to just 53 crore in April against rupees 717 crore in the previous month. This could be because Nifty and Sensex haven't really gone anywhere since the start of the year. So investors probably took a wait and watch approach to allocating additional investments to equity in April while continuing with their existing SIPs. On the other hand, if we look at mid-cap and small-cap funds, they have been in the spotlight over the last 1 year. In fact, in the financial year 2023, these two were among the top 5 funds in terms of net inflows across all the mutual fund categories, and they received inflows of over 20,000 crore each during the last fiscal. In April, the noticeable underperformance of mid-cap and small caps during the previous months prompted investors to choose these categories for continued investments. They both get a combined of 4,000 crore of net inflows. So net inflows into small cap and mid cap funds have remained relatively stable at 2,182 crore and 1,782 crore respectively in April. In March also, we saw similar inflows into these two categories. Meanwhile, experts feel that small caps look reasonably attractive at these levels post the correction they went through during financial year 2023.
So small caps are looking attractive at the current juncture, but SIP flows have also seen a dip, right? And what about gold ETFs and debt funds? They seem to have seen a good inflows this time around.
Yeah, so gold exchange traded funds saw net inflows of around 124 crore in the month of April. And this came after witnessing net outflows of around 276 crore in the previous month. So over the past few months, we have witnessed gold prices rising. So while gold prices rose, some investors would have chosen to book profits or take on a risk-on approach with a view that global central banks would pause further rate hikes. That said, with markets flat, investors again flock to gold ETFs, which is considered as a safe haven during uncertain times.
Right. With that, Abhinav, thanks a lot for taking out time and decoding the AMFI data for us. Well, with that, let's also bring on board our technical expert for today, Raja Venkatraman of Neo Traders, joining in this morning. Good morning, Raja. Good to have you on the show. We've seen a fairly range-bound session for the Nifty over the last 2-3 sessions. Do you expect the Nifty to remain range-bound in today's session, or do you expect the index to end above that 18,300 mark today?
Yeah, good morning, Nandita. So as we can see, there is a subdued opening which we are expecting in the markets as we move in. And one of the prime reasons have been that they have tread into some important resistance zones. So the resistance zones or supply zones are around 18,400 on the Nifty and 43,700 on the Bank Nifty. Now, the most important thing is that we are having an event tomorrow, and that is why you can see some bit of nervousness out there on the indices as well as to seeing what is going to be the turnout. Well, it's not as material as it may seem, but then that's the reaction which I see as of now, because overall the sentiment continues to remain positive, and whatever correction, if any, if we are going to witness, could be a good opportunity to buy into. So now, what could be the correction levels, if you may ask? The levels are emerging around 18,180 to 200, which is a decent set of supports, which could be tracked on the Nifty, and in the Bank Nifty in the region of around 43,200 to 43,300 would be a good zone where again a dip will again hold on. So as long as 43,000 hold, as long as 18,100 holds, we are good to stay on the long side. Now, when you take this particular bias into the stock specific action, they seem to be performing quite well. And like my earlier guest also mentioned, there is a lot of continued advances seen in mid and small cap, and the results are coming out quite decently, and we will continue to showcase and have the tailwind which is there from the result season and continue to experience some more upside. That's my belief here right now. But yes, at the current juncture, when you zone in down to today, it's going to be more of a downward drift or a range bound. I don't expect much case of bullishness on the indices, but yes, stock specific action will definitely be on the deck for all the players out there.
Right. Since you mentioned, we're talking about the result season as well. Eicher Motors handed in a strong set of numbers, post-market yesterday. And today, that's the stock of the day for me. Net profit jumped somewhere around 48 to 49%, revenue up 20%. Even margins have come in closer to the 25% mark. We have two queries coming in fact, two people sending in the same query, Debu K and Satish Kumar, wanting to know your thoughts on this. You expect the stock to rather react to these strong earnings and head higher in today's session?
Yeah, I think that yes, we have seen a fair bit of run ahead of the numbers. So I feel that there could be some profit booking on an immediate basis, and in the region of around 350 would be a good zone to buy into Eicher Motors, but not at the current juncture.
Right. Not worth a buy at the current juncture. Let's also talk about Asian Paints. Double-digit volume growth. In fact, brokerages have maintained a very bullish view on the stock. Macquarie has an outperform rating the target price of 3,700 rupees. It believes that the healthy demand is supporting the company's confidence when it comes to FY24 sales. On the other hand, Jefferies has an underperform call on the stock with a target price of 2,500 per share. It believes that looming competition could be a risk, and that worries Jefferies. So it's basically, a contrasting view coming in from brokerages. What is your own thought on Asian Paints? How are the charts, what are the charts suggesting at the current juncture?
Yeah, I'm very confident on Asian Paints. If you recall, last week, one of the calls which I had given was on Asian Paints only. And the stock was recommended around 29.80, and the stock has gone up quite well. So gone up 300 points from thereabout. So yes, at that time itself, it was taking good leverage from the lowering of crude oil prices, and the momentum seems to be continuing. But then now it definitely auguring a good buy opportunity here, but not at the current levels. Now I would look for a dip in the region of around 3,050 to 3,025 as a good opportunity to buy into. It's given a good fallout based on the result season, and this stock is definitely should be there on the on your buying list on either on a trading basis or on an investment basis.
Well, Asian Paints should definitely be on your radar. That's the call from Raja. Raja, the next query is coming in from Mohit Anand Bhatia, and he wants to know your thoughts on NHPC, whether it's a good time to buy with a time horizon of 1 year or thereabouts. Stock is, in fact, doing okay-ish. It's gained somewhere around 8.5% in the last 1 month and edging towards the 52-week highs of 47.5 or thereabouts. Do you think it's the right time to buy into it?
See, yes, 1 year time horizon is a decent time horizon. But then considering the nature of the stock, which we are seeing over the last 9 months, it continues to languish around these levels, in the region of 40 to 44. So I would, there will be two parcels to my opinion. If you are having the capacity to hold on and if you're having additional capital, then you could play this. Otherwise, you could look to participate in this not from a 1 year horizon, from a lower time frame. Because if you are expecting a move above 45, if I get a closing above 45, then I can expect a move towards 50 in the next 1 year. Now, for doing that, you need to be adequately capitalized. Otherwise, there are better opportunities which are available in this particular space.
Right, you can look at better opportunities in this space. So let's also take up a query then on Ambuja Cements. This one is coming in from Chandan Kumar Thakur. He wants to know your thoughts on this counter. Now, if you look at this stock, it has been doing fairly well on a 5-day basis, gained somewhere around 6% or so. Case to buy on dips now?
Yeah, currently Ambuja Cement has traded into a strong resistance zones around 400 levels. So what I would say is that currently it's trading at around 412. So it's close to its supply zone around 420. So 400 to 420 is a supply zone area. So I would not recommend a buy here. And like you said, a dip towards 380 would be a good opportunity to buy into.
Right. A dip could be a good opportunity to buy into Ambuja Cements. I hope that answers your query. Next query is coming in on Laurus Labs. This stock was down somewhere around 4% yesterday. Is it a good buy when it comes to the pharma space, or do you think there are better stocks to buy into right now?
Yeah, actually this stock is waxing and waning, and it's really not giving you the kind of momentum which you can expect. And right now the stock has not given enough. We saw some movements around 3 days ago, but then that was a sign of some recovery. But then soon the turnaround, as once again clearly emphasized that this stock is headed for more downside. So I would choose to avoid this stock. And from the pharma space, if you want to consider any stock, then you can go in with Torrent Pharma. Torrent Pharma is a much better bet from the mid cap space. The stock is continuing to do well, and if once it moves above 1680, it would be a much better bet to participate in.
All right. This query was from Vivek Kurup. I hope this answers your query. The next stock that I want to talk to you about is Siemens. This stock came out with a good set of numbers yesterday, and the stock has run up quite a bit. It's edging towards its 52-week highs. Do you think, it could come under a bit of profit booking after the strong show in the fourth quarter earnings?
Yeah, definitely it will, because its near vertical rise since April end has been quite phenomenal. And we can see a 500-point jump, which is quite unprecedented considering the nature of the current market moves. So yes, profit booking is on the cards. So anyone entering here would have to participate with a monetary risk. So a suitable buy area is only emerging at around 3600. So one will have to wait for a decline in the stock before participating.
Right, wait for a decline before participating in Siemens. The next query is coming in on Bajaj Electricals. This one is coming in from Prasanna, and he wants to know your thoughts on this stock. If you look at the share price, was flat in yesterday's session, but over the last 1 month, or in fact last 5 days, it has gained somewhere around 2% or thereabouts. Heading towards 52-week highs of 1265 or thereabouts. What should one do with this one?
This stock is not a, it's not a performer, because it is a time consumer, because the time consumer of the investor, because this stock is not going to go anywhere. So I would be avoiding this stock at the moment.
Right, avoid Bajaj Electricals at the current juncture. Let's take up a query on L&T as well. Monica Princey has written in and she wants to know your thoughts on this. Of course, yesterday we saw the stock tank over 5% on the back of, disappointment in fourth quarter margins. But, since the outlook is pretty, the FY24 guidance is pretty strong, do you think it's just coming under a bit of profit booking, and here on it may see, bouts of rally as well going forward?
Yeah, so like we are observing right now, the markets are also under some pressure, and that could accentuate the decline in this stock, and it could take it closer to the region of around 2150 to 2180, where I see some decent set of support. So as long as these levels are held, L&T could be a good buy. Otherwise, beyond this, then it could actually turn into the short territory.
Right. Raja, I wanted to get in your thoughts on Zomato. This stock has been under a fair bit of pressure, of course, because of competition woes from ONDC. And, MSCI has also included it in its index. So, here on, what are the charts saying for Zomato?
See, Zomato is a name which I truly believe that it's only merely for discussion purpose, because this entire stock has got its own trajectory, and what I feel is that there are a lot of people who are interested. It's the new age yes bank. People want to participate it at lower levels. There are a lot of news flows which are happening, but I don't see the stock doing any good to the investor. So I would keep my hands away from Zomato.
Well, keep your hands away from Zomato. Next query is coming in from Rahul Singh, and he wants to know your thoughts on Tata Power. Stock has been in an uptrend over the last 1 month, up 5%. Do you think one should buy into this now?
Yeah, see, Tata Power is a stock which is in a sector which keeps coming out with frequent news flows. And what I'm seeing is that after a long time, Tata Power is coming out of its consolidation. So it's definitely a low risk opportunity which is emerging here. And you could participate in Tata Power at the current juncture. The stop loss could be in the region of around 198 from an investment point of view, for an upside towards 241 within the next 3 months.
Right. I want to take one last query then. We spoke about Laurus Labs and the pharma pack, but, particularly Dr. Reddy's, stock tumbled 6% after earnings. And you think one should use this dip to buy into this one among the large cap pharma stocks?
No, I would definitely keep my hands away from Dr. Reddy at the moment because I feel that there is more decline to emerge, and it could then slip into some consolidation here. So it's best to avoid this at the current juncture.
Right. The next query is coming in from Ramesh, and he wants to know your thoughts on South Indian Bank. Stock was up somewhere around 2% yesterday. Between these mid-cap banks like Indian Bank, Canara Bank, South Indian Bank, which one would you prefer right now?
Yeah, I would prefer to go with Canara Bank because what I have found is that over the last 6 to 8 months, it has found some patronage amongst the retail participants as well as the traders, and that is bringing in some good momentum into the stock, and that is something which I always seek for while I'm trading. So that is a very, very important candidature, and South Indian Bank's overall structure also seems to be in a profit booking zone. So I would stay away from South Indian Bank, and if you are wanting to participate amongst the bank names which you mentioned, Canara Bank is a better bet.
Right. So Canara Bank is a better bet among the mid-cap banks. Let's take up one last query then. This is coming in from Rajiv Sharma, and he wants to know whether Mahindra and Mahindra Financial Services is a good buy at the current juncture. If you look at the stock, it's up 12% over the last 1 month. I would like to ask you whether one should go for this stock or, should one go for a Bajaj Finance at this juncture?
So you mentioned M&M Financial, right?
Right.
Yeah, so M&M Financial has definitely done very well, and it continues to move ahead. So I would continue to retain a bullish candidature on the M&M Financial. Yes, dips towards 270 would be ideal zone because at that juncture you will be having a lower risk opportunity. So any dip towards 270, 275, you can keep a stop loss below 265 for an upside towards 335 in a 3-month target.
Well, I hope that answers your query. With that, I think we are done with the query segment for today. But before I let you go, Raja, leave us with some stock recommendations for viewers this morning.
Yeah, so I continue to maintain stock-specific action. So I said stock-specific action, there are definitely some buying opportunities emerging. So I would go with a long in HAL around current levels with a stop loss below 2995 for a target of 3065 to 3100. And the second target which I'm choosing from the cash segment is Phoenix Mills at around 1485 with a stop loss of 1450 for a target of 1520 to 1545.
Right, so those are the stock recommendations coming in from Raja. But Raja, before I let you go, just want to get in one last question. Two large cap companies reporting earnings today, Tata Motors, Cipla. Tata Motors expected to hand in a strong set of numbers. How should one position themselves in these stocks ahead of earnings?
Yeah, so first of all, Tata Motors, I would say that over the last two sessions, there seems to be some bit of hesitation here. But then what I feel is that Tata, considering the auto pack, Tata Motors seems to be a better bet. One could look at current levels, or if you are looking to buy it on some suitable set of supports, they are emerging around 495 to 498. So this could be a good bet to buy into. And when you talk about the pharma pack and with Cipla coming out with its numbers, I feel that the stock is in again moving in a consolidation, and I don't see much room, much upside emerging in Cipla. So if you want to take a bet on the long side, it will be Tata Motors. Yes, you may experience some upside if Cipla's results are positive, but it's got headwinds at around 960.
Right, those two stocks to watch out for, Tata Motors and Cipla. With that, Raja, thanks a lot for taking out time and joining in this morning and addressing our viewers' queries as well. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Morning Trade. Wish you all a very happy weekend. I'm off, but don't go anywhere because coming up next is Opening Bell.